So, welcome to Ahabis. This is our daily 30-minute briefings on bleeding edge insights and practices that altogether form the emerging shape of our new normal. Every day, we round up our actionable best practices from business leaders, which you can apply to your own companies to level up the way you take care of your people, your customers, and your partners as demanded by business unusual times. My name is Mina, and today I'll be facilitating this open discussion with Dandy and Jeannie. And yes, you heard it right. This is an open conversation, so please feel free to share your thoughts and opinions on our featured stories for the day. You can type in your thoughts in the chat box so we can acknowledge you. Just a reminder, to ensure the quality of our audio, let's turn off our microphones for now, unless we call on you to speak up. Also, a bit of a disclaimer, because some of the business leaders we interview speak based on their own personal experiences. We will have to preserve their company's anonymity. But of course, don't worry, because at the end of the day, what really matters are the learnings that we can take away from their experiences. Also with us today is our resident bulldog, Andre. Andre, explain what you're gonna do.
Well, they're going to figure out what I'm going to do as soon as you guys get started. So my role needs no further explanation. Go ahead.
So he will, when he feels biting, that's his.
You will feel my bite, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so let's get the ball rolling. Karen will be our timekeeper. Karen, are you ready? Okay, so Dandy, let's start with you. Your 9 minutes starts now.
Okay, so my resource person, he's an ops support team manager for a global financial services firm. So this financial firm has 4 offices right now in Manila. Right now, they have over 2,000 employees here in the Philippines, and they mostly service their US customers. So their COVID context is that they are currently undermanned because 20% of their workforce is unable to work from home due to lack of equipment. So they had to find ways in order to cope with the situation by, 1, looking into their processes, and 2, filling in the gaps in manpower. So my aha number 1 is streamlining of processes. One of the things they prioritized is to look into their current process and really assess which are the essential ones and which are good to haves that not necessarily affect operations. And I think this is a good practice, especially for companies who have shut down due to the lockdown. I think this is high time for these companies to really look into their process, their reports, and see what really matters and weed out those non-essential ones. So
I want to interject there because yesterday this reminds me of something we talked about yesterday, right? Where we come up with this catchy phrase, it's not business as usual, it's value as usual, right?
Yeah,
and we
correct.
talked about value as usual in the context of providing value to your customers. Like restaurants who are not able to be restaurants anymore, how can I provide value? Airlines that don't fly anymore, how do they turn their catering services into food delivery service? So value as usual. Now you're talking, Dandy, about another type of value as usual, not so much heading out to our stakeholders, but looking inside at our internal systems and processes and being very streamlined, as you said, about what really creates value, and everything else that does not, throw it out.
Yep.
So interesting.
Exactly. And what my resource person said is that if this becomes successful, then eventually after the crisis, they probably don't actually need all those non-essentials. So what are these? Some of the examples he stated, and these might be quite technical now, but just to really drive down the point, some of these include mga trend analysis reports, also in between correspondences with customers regarding their disputes. So instead of calling their customers with disputes, they just direct them to their websites. Business reviews have become read-only presentations rather than full-blown meetings like before. They have also relaxed their audit especially for high accuracy steps in the process. So for example, they need 100 sampling in one step in terms of auditing. Now they just reduce it to 5 sampling. And I want to say this, they're doing this not just to really make their process more efficient, but I want to segue into my next aha, my aha number 2. They're doing this so that they can open up themselves or their teams to helping out other departments. So this is going beyond their job titles and being flexible. So this ties up perfectly with my previous case study in the BPO company before, if you remember. They are encouraging their people to help out in other departments that are outside of their own. For this company, for this financial firm, some of the things that they're doing, for example, since internal auditing is relaxed, the audit team helps out in the operations in terms of claims processing. The support team naman, who's usually in charge of reporting and monitoring, have to get their hands dirty as well and help in the operations, taking calls. Same goes with supervisors and team leaders who also need to help customer service now when the call volume is high. So this is really, even if it's beyond your pay grade already or it's below your pay grade, people help out bayanihan style, seeing where needs the departments that need help and offering their hand whenever needed. So that's what they're doing now, and that's one of the benefits of them streamlining their processes.
Can I just jump in because I had a real aha just listening to you, which is we went from business as usual to value as usual to now where you have brought us to is value unusual, right? Because now people are, I mean, you have companies like that most of the time. They have all these bloated, inefficient stream. You've heard that from me. I always bitch and moan about corporate bureaucracy. Now they're streamlining. But beyond just streamlining, here's another pet peeve with corporations. You know how in startups, which is we very much are culturally, everyone rolls up their sleeves. Nobody says, "Hey, that's not my role. That's not my role." Everybody rolls up their sleeves, and there's a very permeable line between your work in your group and my work in my group. We always crisscross, and it's nice to see that happening in the bigger organizations. So this is what I would call value unusual, right? And the crisis is forcing all these good things. So very good ahas. Are you done?
Yes, I'm done. That's it.
So that's definitely a 5 out of 5.
Yay! Oh my God, so generous.
Every time we reach a 5 out of 5, we should bang a gong or something.
I know, right?
Right. Okay. Good.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Congrats. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go next.
Yes.
So my resource person is a corporate communication officer who is working at one of the world's leading hotel companies. This hotel has presence across more than 100 countries with hundreds of thousands of employees. So of course, they offer different hotel experience through different brands.
Mina,
So the context po.
I just want to say, you are a real masochist because yesterday you chose an airline, which is like in the very bottom pit, right? And now you chose the hotels, which are, what's your problem?
Yeah.
The envelope in this research thing.
Yeah. Actually, Andre, I've already seen a pattern to this industries that have really been impacted by Corona.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm gonna go through. So of course, the revenue is down and it is continually declining every day because of the lockdown. But the president said that at a time like this, it is their focus right now is towards their people. So the first thing that they did, so this is my first aha. My first aha is that you can find temporary jobs for your people, like be your own recruiter. So what they did,
Okay.
yeah, so in their US-based hotel colleagues, they dedicated a website where employees who are greatly impacted by this, they are redirected to job opportunities with their partner brands. Like for instance, they're partnered with Amazon, Walmart, Home Depot. So their employees they have expedited applications. So if you work for them, you are redirectly offered. You are directly offered a job because these are the businesses that are thriving right now. This is still not being done in the country, but hopefully this kind of model will be replicated in all the countries that they are servicing. That's my first aha.
I like
Okay.
it. Yes.
Okay.
Good.
So my second,
Yeah, I mean, it goes with the theme of a value unusual.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so my second aha is all about still about taking care of their people by keeping them busy and connected to their jobs. So first, for people who are able to transition to the work from home setup, they launch a site where they give you work from home tips and also how to take care of yourself, because you really have to adjust if you are used to the office setup. So this is also a place where colleagues can talk to each other, check up on each other, and also they created a dedicated hotline and email for people who are experiencing depression and anxiety. Another thing that they did is that they also want to support their employees through online learning opportunities. So if you're a manager, there are courses for you, employee engagement, and then if you're part of the customer service, they also have specific trainings for you.
Where
So
are they getting this material? Was this sort of archived material from the past, or is it new material? I mean, what's the story with these materials?
the story of these materials is these are materials that are usually given to them on a face-to-face setup. Like they have summits for this, but then they converted it through online na. So the rationale behind this is that they want their employees to still advance their skills and education so that when they get back to work, they are already one step ahead. Because what they're seeing, the trend now is that when they shut down their hotel in China, currently the number of patients in China right now is declining. So a lot of people are now going out and they are seeing a surge in their hotel accommodations. And lastly, of course, to keep the business afloat, they instituted pay cuts across C-suite managers and those of higher band levels so that they won't have to lay off a lot of their people.
Nice. I was just gonna say, what was your point before pay cuts?
The point before pay cuts was e-learning initiatives
Yes,
for employees.
yes. I mean, I think I remember now my point. I mean, it's the very same thing. It is actually not the very same thing. It's the very same theme
Yes.
that we're zeroing in on when we launched this whole 30 days initiative, of which AHA Biz is, right? We said, well, you said something very interesting, which is when the markets restart so that their employees are going to be one step ahead, right? Which is good. But I just want to point out that if you're not doing anything, you're not just going to be staying in place. You're going to be behind, right? It's either you're going forward or you're getting left behind. There's no such thing as if you're staying put, you're getting left behind. And when we see too many organizations that are saying, basically throwing their hands up in there and saying, well, our operations have what can we do? We can't. We're not an essential. We're not a essential business, so we just have to shut down. And as their operations have ground to a halt, so have their employee development, which is really not a good idea. There's a lot of free resources out there. If you think you can't afford it given the crisis, there's a lot of free resources out there. And I'm not tooting our own horn, but that's precisely why we're doing all these free, 100% free public services over 30 days of lockdown. And if it persists to 60 days, we will be here, right? It is precisely so that we can turn these days and weeks and months into periods of growth, not just staying in place. Okay, so, nice. Are you ready for your score?
Yes.
Okay. 4.5.
Yay, thank you,
And
Anne.
a very high bar, I think, for today. All right, thank you. Congratulations to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, up
The
next.
Bulldog is ready for the next one.
Okay,
Okay.
go to me.
Yes. Can I say something? Can we stop saying my resource person is? My AHA person is. Okay. Resource person sounds so boring for the gifts that you are pouring out to us. They should be referred to as the AHA. My AHA hero is. Okay. All right, go. Uh-oh.
Oh no, Chini, we can't hear you. You need to fix your audio. Okay, so just to give some context, while Chini is fixing her audio, her story right now is about Um, it is in the hospitality industry as well, but compared to Mina, this is more smaller scale. Particularly, it's a Condotel.
Hello?
Okay.
Okay, go.
You're back
great.
on.
Okay, so the context. We've all heard of the prevailing discrimination between landlords against frontliners. So we know that nurses are being kicked out now of dormitories everywhere. There's this nurse from Cabanatuan who was actually told by her neighbor that she could neither go to work or even go home. And then
Sorry, on what grounds? On what grounds are they being evicted?
well, they're worried about their safety and they're being afraid of being
I,
contaminated.
I see.
So
Okay.
actually, there are even people who aren't even directly working with patients, people who are required to work in the office that are also being discriminated
I see.
nowadays.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so
Not that
this
we agree
brings,
with it, but we can see where it's coming from. Yeah.
Just to
yeah,
give
so
greater context to this, no, even DOH made a statement about this to not discriminate against frontliners and people who have to still work, because a lot of landlords are really literally driving them away from their apartments, from their lodging.
they're
Okay.
being doused by water, by the way, and bleach in some cases. So if you can just imagine
Yeah.
the type of discrimination that people go through nowadays if they have to work outside. So this brings me to my aha hero. He is a co-owner of a condotel in a commercial district. So they typically accommodate long-term guests. So when other people are driving their tenants away from their property, this condotel lets people in. So instead of turning a blind eye and closing down operations because they do have that option, they stayed open to accommodate BPO employees who have no choice but to report to work near the area. So yeah, they can't really work from home because they can't bring home important data and files due to confidentiality.
Yeah.
So this owner set his fears aside and let them in. He actually mentioned to me that you can evacuate from a typhoon, you can build up your house again from a fire. Even famous people could die, but life can still go on. But this is an unprecedented crisis. Life literally stopped with COVID. So this is his way of helping life continue. So just imagine now the value as usual that he would bring if the businesses that he let in would remember who was it exactly that brought their people a place to stay,
Yeah.
right?
That's fantastic. In fact, our guest later on, he owns the Move and Pick Hotel in Mactan. The last few times I spoke to him, he talked about exactly a similar situation, a BPO. Since they're down to 10% occupancy rate, one of his lifelines was to strike a deal with a BPO, precisely for these reasons, is to house their staff who had to work around the clock. Um, not to be jaded about this, but that's a win-win situation. I'm sure your condotel hero isn't doing it for free.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it for sure, definitely. But
and
not
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that, right? I mean, it's a good value exchange that works for all parties. And the crux of it is how is your aha, which is there are ways to not just shut down and throw your arms up in the air and say, I'll just wait this out. There are ways to deliver value as usual by delivering value unusual. Okay.
actually my aha hero would probably have a little argument with that because it's not really necessary. It's not really to say that business right now is in great shape, even though he's letting these people in. So, economically and safety wise, he did mention that it would have been better for him to close the condotel like so many others are doing, but he just really wanted to help. But with that opportunity brought the threat naman to his employees. So while they have income because of their work, they themselves are at risk. So
Yeah.
what about their safety and their welfare? Which leads me to my aha number 2, which is treating people as human beings. So giving these employees pay isn't really enough. So this owner feels that he is a father to his people. So apart from providing them the protective gear, he provided them with the accommodations, regularly texts them to check how they are. He sometimes feels that this may be corny to his team. He even provided them with Netflix accounts out of his pocket just to keep them sane. So this just goes to show that his relationship with his team got deeper in crisis. He's going this far, according to him, because he knows his people are brothers, sisters, mothers, and fathers to someone else. He may be giving away money for now, but to him, it's really nothing compared to if you lose your sense of humanity.
I've heard this enough times from you guys as you're bringing up all these aha stories from the field, right? From all over, from various sectors. Just the importance of taking care of your employees' well-being, not just from the physical threats that they're encountering, but their emotional and psychic vulnerabilities. I've heard that enough. Which, of course, you think, the first time I heard that, well, of course, yeah, you should do that. But I hear it often enough from your various reports that I'm convinced this really should be a methodical program that all organizations should be doing on behalf of their employees. And again, that's why in our 30-day programming, 30 days of growth and transformation, we cover the full spectrum of skills, for example, to launch breakthrough solutions in 100 hours or less, all the way to the other side of the spectrum, which is how do you maintain peak performance and wholeness as a human being in a crisis like this? It's taking care of the whole people so that whole person can be more productive. I think is a very good aha. I would like to reference again with regards to your story, the story of our guest later on, which I encourage you to bring up if you have the opportunity later on. I call it a win-win. It's not just a win-win. It's a win-win-win because his first priority, at least our guest later on, his name's Manny Osmeña, is how I could just as well shut down. That's fine. I'll take the financial hit. But if he does that, his employees are on the streets and he cannot stomach that. So he has to find a way to keep his employees paid. And so he found the win as an owner. His employees found the win in keeping their jobs, and the third-party organizations that need round-the-clock housing for their staff because they need to continue to operate. For example, BPO also found its win. So business unusual, win-win-win. So, very good. All right, so we'll give you a 4 + 1. Very good. 5. All right.
Yay!
Oh, there you go. What is that?
Let's wrap this up with our keywords for today. What are your key takeaways?
Okay, so can I go first? It's not a keyword, it's a phrase. Mine is your people are your best asset. So, and also never stop investing in your people.
Thank you.
For me, it's really look into your processes. I mean, quite simply. There's a lot that needs to be weeded out. It's high time right now, even if you're shut down, to look into your processes, streamline, not just to efficiently go back when things go back to normal again, but also to free up bandwidth in order for people to be able to be more well-rounded and help each other out. So that's for me.
That would probably be, you could also actually emphasize the value unusual part of that. For me, I think my keyword would be, key sentence probably.
Keyword. We have to challenge ourselves to keywords, huh?
Okay. It will probably be pain is a gift. Really.
Pain is a gift. Okay, we'll leave it at that. All right. On that note, we have come to the conclusion of another. How much time did we actually take? It is 11:27. I believe we started around 11:03, so about 25 minutes, which is well below our 30-minute threshold. So there you go. Another 30 minutes or less briefing. Aha Biz. It's all about investigative journalism, going out into the field, finding what's bleeding edge. And we call it bleeding edge because it's blood, sweat, and tears nowadays for every one of us to figure out how we're going to stay relevant how we're going to continue to operate, how we're going to continue to survive as businesses who have to take care of employees, customers. And so this program, which we do every day, 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., Monday to Friday, is all about what we're digging up from the field, from real leaders like you, and what their AHA practices are that we can ourselves adopt. So until Monday, we shall see you again for the next AHA Biz.
Right,
Little
11
plug.
p.m. again.
Sorry, shameless plug. Why don't you do a shameless plug for our 3 p.m. programming, you guys? You can sing, dance, do whatever you want.
So please watch out for our 12 weeks peak pad later today at 3 p.m. Featuring Andrea, of course, Joanna Alberto, and their special guests. Andre, do the honors, who are our special guests again for later.
So we have a Jesuit priest, Augustine Thomas, who is the former president of Jesuit University in Nepal. We have Manny Osmeña. I mentioned him already. He is the owner of the Manny O Group, who owns Movenpick Mactan, Manny O Wines, Cebu Pacific ground services, catering services, also ground and catering services for PAL. So a very successful businessman, and of course the one and only Tony Meloto of Couples for Christ, Gawad Kalinga, Human Nature, and Enchanted Farm fame. We will be talking about pain as a gift. So until then, thank you very much for joining us, and we shall see you when we see you.
Yes,
Take
this
care.
has been Abyss. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
You guys learned something.